say the prayers, but we'll just recall Isopanishad, beginning with the reading of Isopanishad, the knowledge that brings one nearer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So this knowledge, it brings us nearer to God. Introduction. Teachings of the Vedas, delivered as a lecture by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, on October 6, 1969, at Conway Hall, London, England. Would it be okay for one of you to read?
I can read.
Please, thank you.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, today's subject matter is the teaching of the Vedas. What are the Vedas? The Sanskrit verbal root of Veda can be interpreted voraciously, but the purport is finally one. Veda means knowledge. Any knowledge you accept is Veda. For the teachings of the Vedas are the original knowledge. In the conditioned state, our knowledge is subjected to many deficiencies. The difference between a conditioned soul and a liberated soul is that the conditioned soul has four kinds of defects. The first defect is that he must commit mistakes. For example, in our country, Mahatma Gandhi was considered to be a very great personality, but he committed many mistakes. Even at the last stage of his life, his assistant warned Mahatma Gandhi, do not go to New Delhi meeting. I have some friends and I heard there is danger. But he did not hear. He persisted in going and was killed. Even great personalities like Mahatma Gandhi, President Kennedy, there are so many of them make mistakes. To err is human. This is one defect of the conditioned soul. Another defect would be illusion.
I'm sorry.
Illusion.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Shall we speak a bit? What is the Vedas?
Original knowledge.
Yeah. And who's the speaker of the Vedas? The speaker of the Vedas, Srila Vyasadeva gives us in the first canto, first chapter, first verse of Bhagavatam. He immediately tells us the speaker of the Vedas is Krishna. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye. When he is offering obeisances to Lord Krishna, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and then he's saying that you are the original speaker of the Vedas. So Bhagavatam says that Krishna is the original speaker of the Vedas because the Vedas are aparusheya. The Vedas are perfect knowledge. They're not spoken by any ordinary person. Now we are trying to understand why any ordinary person cannot be the speaker of Vedas or perfect knowledge. Why? Because the conditioned soul has four defects we are hearing. And what is the first defect?
Commit mistakes.
Yeah, although we think we don't, but can we ever say that till now we've never committed a mistake? Yeah, we don't like to admit it, but we do commit mistakes. Yeah, so Prabhupada is, of course, here saying to err as human is a very popular saying, no? So this is one of the defects. Continue.
Another defect to be illusion. Illusion means to accept something which is not. Maya. Maya means what is not. Everyone is accepting the body as the self. If I ask you what you are, you will say, I am Mr. John, I am a rich man, I am this, I am that. All these are bodily identifications, but you are not this body. This is illusion. The
So
third
this
defect.
is the illusion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So what is illusion?
It is that you are the body and not the soul.
I'm sorry?
Thinking that you are the body and not the soul.
Yeah,
That is the mistake.
Yes.
That is the
Yes.
illusion, sorry.
That's right. That's right. We are thinking that, and because we are thinking we are the body, all our mind, all our activities, words, thoughts are based on that I'm the body. So yes, this is the illusion.
The third defect is the cheating propensity. Everyone has the propensity to cheat others. Although a person is fool number one, he poses himself as very intelligent. Although it is already pointed out that he is an illusion and makes mistakes, he will theorize, I think this is this, this is this. But he does not even know his own position. He writes books of philosophy, although he is defective. That is his disease, that is cheating.
Yeah, each of us has this propensity to cheat. We may agree it or not, or we may realize it or not, but we do have it. Why? Because we are in illusion. We ourselves don't know the truth. And then we are making mistakes. So then, of course, we will end up cheating. Yesterday, we were reading in Bhagavatam that, where Bhagavatam was saying that one who has a human body and who does not engage in devotional service, he's cheating himself and he's envious of himself. Yeah, so Bhagavatam is a strong word sometimes to shake us up. Oh, what is Bhagavatam saying? I'm cheating my own self. I'm envious of myself. Well, what's happening? Because Bhagavatam is shaking us up, telling us, hey, what's the goal of human life, Wake up, engage in devotional service. Anyway, continue reading.
Lastly, our senses are imperfect. We are very proud of our eyes. Often, someone will challenge, can you show me God? But do you have the eyes to see God? You will never see if you haven't the eyes. If immediately the room becomes dark, you cannot even see your hands. So, what power do you have to see? We cannot therefore expect knowledge, Veda, with these imperfect senses. With all these deficiencies in conditioned life, we cannot give perfect knowledge to anyone, nor are we ourselves perfect. Therefore, we accept the Vedas as they are.
So, what is the fourth defect?
Imperfect senses.
Do we agree? We have imperfect senses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yes. How would you explain it?
Like, for example, I see Mataji, you're wearing glasses. Even I used to wear glasses. So, like, that's the first. Our eyesight is not as strong as it could be.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Senses. Yeah. I read wrong, If I don't wear my glasses, I'll read something else. So, really. So, what are the four defects that we are hearing?
So, to be illusion, cheating propensity,
Mm-hmm.
and the tendency to commit mistakes, and imperfect senses.
That's right. So then with these defects, if we are going to imagine any knowledge, for sure that will be defective. Agree?
Yes.
So then how are we going to get perfect knowledge from if we want to understand the truth, the absolute truth, not the relative truth, but the absolute truth? That's why we have to accept the Vedas. Yes, thank you. Yes, that's why we study the Vedas, to get the perfect knowledge.
You may call the Vedas Hindu, but Hindu is a foreign name. We are not Hindus. Our real identification is Varnashrama. Varnashrama denotes the followers of the Vedas, those who accept the human society in 8 divisions of Varn and Ashram. There are 4 divisions of society and 4 divisions of spiritual life. This is called Varnashrama. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita 4.13. These divisions are everywhere because they are created by God. The divisions of society are Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Brahman refers to the very intelligent class of men, those who know what is Brahman. Similarly, the Kshatriyas, the administrative group, are the next intelligent class of men. Then the Vaishyas, the mercantile group. These natural classifications are found everywhere. This is the Vedic principle, and we accept it. Vedic principles are accepted as axiomatic truth, for there cannot be any mistake. That is acceptance. For instance, in India, cow dung is accepted as pure, and yet cow dung is the stool of an animal. In one place, you'll find the Vedic injunction that if you touch stool, you have to take a bath immediately. But in another place, it is said that the stool of a cow is pure. If you smear cow dung in an impure place, that place becomes pure. With our ordinary senses, we argue this is contradictory. Actually, it is contradictory from the ordinary point of view. But it is not false. It is fact. In Calcutta, a very prominent scientist and doctor analyzed cow dung and found that it contains all antiseptic properties.
So here Prabhupada is, saying Hindu. There's no word as Hindu. In the entire Vedas you read, there's no word that comes Hindu. Never is there mentioned. This is a foreign name, Prabhupada would say, because the Muslim rulers who came, they couldn't say Sindhu, the people who were staying by the river Sindh. So they would say Hindu. That's how it came. But actually, there's nothing as Hindu in the Vedas. It's all Sanatan Dharma or Varnashrama Dharma. That is what the Vedas tell us. The followers of Sanatan Dharma, the followers of the Vedas are the followers of the Sanatan Dharma who are accepting these 8 divisions. Original Vedic society was divided into Varnas and Ashram. Varnas are the modes that we are in. It was not based on birth. Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita that he is the creator of this Varna Sharma society, Guna Karma Vibhagasa. And it is based on guna and karma, not on birth. Not that because I'm born in a Brahmana family, I become a Brahmana. That is saying that because I'm born in the family of doctors, I automatically become a doctor. I don't need to study. I don't need to enroll myself in a medical school. Nobody's going to come to me for their treatment. Would you come to me if I just say, my grandfather's a doctor, but I never went to medical school, but I'm a doctor. Would you come for your treatment? No, right? Yeah. So Krishna has made this based on guna and karma, based on the nature, the Brahmana. The Brahmana is the intelligent class of society, the Kshatriya, the protectors, the administrators, the managers, the Vaishyas, the business people, agriculture, trading, banking, farming, and the Shudras. The Shudras would give service to all the other sections of society. So it's not that one was lesser and the other was lower. No, everyone is cooperating with each other. And everyone would cooperate with each other in the Vedic society. Then later on, it got degraded into a caste system because people started claiming superiority on the base of birth, but not on the base of qualification. So, but the original way how Krishna made it is based on qualification. One had to qualify himself to be called a Brahmana or a Kshatriya, you know. So they were given the training. Or even a Vaishya. Then Shudra is, of course, they're serving all the others. So how do we accept the Vedas? We accept it without any interpretation. So Prabhupada is giving the example. The Vedas say touching the stool of an animal means have to immediately take a bath. But the same Veda is saying that cow dung is pure and use it in your house, use it for even deity worship, use it as a cooking food fuel. But cow dung is also stool of an animal. So it may seem contradictory, but there is no contradiction. It's a Vedic injunction. And if we do research, yes, cow dung is very pure. that okay?
Yeah. In India, if one person tells another, you must do this, the other party may say, what do you mean? Is this a Vedic injunction that I have to follow you without any argument? Vedic injunctions cannot be interpreted, but ultimately, if you carefully study why these injunctions are there, you will find that they are all correct. The Vedas are not compilations of human knowledge. Vedic knowledge comes from the spiritual world, from Lord Krishna. Another name for the Vedas is Shruti. Shruti refers to that knowledge which is acquired by hearing. It is not experimental knowledge. Shruti is considered to be like a mother. We take so much knowledge from our mother. For example, if you want to know who your father is, who can answer you? Your mother. If the mother says, here is your father, you have to accept it. It is not possible to experiment to find out whether he is your father. Similarly, if you want to know something beyond your experience, beyond your experimental knowledge, beyond the activities of the senses, then you have to accept the Vedas. There is no question of experimenting. It has already been experimented, it is already settled. The version of the mother, for instance, has to be accepted as truth. There is no other way.
So to explain this point of authority, Prabhupada is saying we want to know who's our father. Simply ask the mother. She knows the truth. So we can now know the truth in the most efficient way, in the shortest amount of time, requiring the least amount of energy. Simply ask her. Now, if we are going to do research by ourselves and ask every man on this earth, so it will take up a lot of our time, energy, effort, and we may not even come to the right conclusion. So similarly, Prabhupada is saying when we want to understand about spirituality, we hear from the Vedas. Shruti means hearing. That is heard. So originally, the Vedic knowledge was heard from the disciple, by the disciple from the spiritual master. It is 5,000 years ago that Vyasadeva, he knew that even if we hear something, we're going to forget it the next moment. So he put it down in writing for us. He wrote it. The Vedas originally existed and they were being passed down by the process of hearing. That's why they are called Shruti.
The Vedas are considered to be the mother, and Brahma is called the grandfather, the forefather, because he was the first to be instructed in the Vedic knowledge. In the beginning, the first living creature was Brahma. He received this Vedic knowledge and imparted it to Narad and other disciples and sons, and they also distributed to their disciples. In this way, the Vedic knowledge comes down by disciplic succession. It is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that Vedic knowledge is understood in this way. If you make experimental endeavor, you come to the same conclusion. But just to save time, you should accept. If you want to know who your father is, and if you accept your mother as the authority, then whatever she says can be accepted without argument. There are three kinds of evidence: Pratyaksh, Anuman, and Shabda. Pratyaksh means direct evidence. Direct evidence is not very good because our senses are not perfect. We are seeing the sun daily and it appears to us just like a small disk, but is actually far, far larger than many planets. Of what value is this seen? Therefore, we have to read books, then we can understand about the sun. So the direct experience is not perfect. Then there is Anuman, inductive knowledge. It may be like this, hypothesis. For instance, Darwin's theory says it may be like this, it may be like that. But that is not science. That is a suggestion and it is also not perfect. But if you receive the knowledge from the authoritative sources, that is perfect. If you receive a program guide from the radio station authorities, you accept it. You don't deny it. You don't have to make an experiment because it is received from the authoritative sources.
So what are the three ways of receiving knowledge? Three kinds.
Um,
Yeah, Prabhupada is saying.
Pratyaksh, Anuman, and Shabd.
And what is Pratyaksha?
Direct evidence.
So what does that mean?
It's like that police file. They just, like, whatever you see, you believe.
Yeah. And then Prabhupada is saying, what's the value of this seeing, right? Because our senses are imperfect. We already said our senses are imperfect. So our direct evidence is really not going to give us perfect knowledge. And then what's the second one?
Hanuman.
Anuman. And what is this?
The
Hypothesis.
Yeah. So for example, hypothesis means like, for example, Prabhupada is saying it may be like this, may be like that. We may say, according to me, it should be like this. According to me, it should be like that. We are just hypothesizing. We're speaking from our mind. But it may not be the right, it may not be the truth, So now, how do we get the proper knowledge? Is when we hear from the proper source. And that is this Shabda, the Shabda Praman, hearing. When we are hearing from the authority, now we're hearing from the wrong sources is going to give us wrong knowledge. So we need to hear from authority. And when we hear from authority, then we accept it and we follow it. Like for example, anything, no? We want to become expert, I don't know. So say graphic designing, we go learn from a teacher and we accept what the teacher is saying, or we want to learn to fly. Then we enroll ourselves in a flying school and we follow what the teacher is saying. We follow the authority. So for material knowledge also we are following authority. Similarly, to get spiritual knowledge, we follow spiritual authority. The Vedas are spiritual authority. And the first speaker of the Vedas, we already said, is Krishna. Krishna spoke the Vedas to Brahmaji. Brahma spoke it to Narad. Narad to Vyasadev. Vyasadev, Madhvacharya. Like that, it's coming to us. Lord Chaitanya, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada. So here we are hearing the knowledge of the Vedas in the disciplic succession, in the parampara. So we are hearing from the authority, the authoritative knowledge.
Vedic knowledge is called Shabd Pranam. Another name is Shruti. Shruti means that this knowledge has to be received simply by oral reception. Oral reception. The Vedas instruct that in order to understand transcendental knowledge, we have to hear from the authority. Transcendental knowledge is knowledge from beyond this universe. Within this universe is material knowledge, and beyond this universe is transcendental knowledge. We cannot even go to the end of the universe. So, how can we go to the spiritual world? Thus, to acquire full knowledge is impossible.
Yeah, isn't it? We already understood that we have so many defects. So already we are having so many defects in our material life. Now we want to understand transcendental. So how are we going to ever get that knowledge? So we have to hear from the Vedas to get this knowledge, because the Vedas are speaking of the spiritual knowledge.
There is a spiritual sky. There is another nature which is beyond manifestation and non manifestation. But how will you know that there is a sky where the planets and inhabitants are eternal? All this knowledge is there, but how will you make experiments? It is not possible. Therefore, you have to take the assistance of the Vedas. This is called Vedic knowledge. In our Krishna conscious movement, we are accepting knowledge from the highest authority, Krishna. Krishna is accepted as the highest authority by all classes of men. I am speaking first of the two classes of transcendentalists. One class of transcendentalists is called impersonalistic Mayavadi. They are generally known as Vedantists led by Shankaracharya. And there is another class of transcendentals called Vaishnavas, like Ramanujacharya and Madhavacharya Vishnu Swami. Both the Shankara Sampradaya and the Vaishnava Sampradaya have accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sankaracharya is supposed to be an impersonalist who preached impersonalism, impersonal Brahman, but it is a fact that he is a covered personalist. In a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, he wrote, Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beyond this cosmic manifestation. And then again he confirmed that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, is Krishna. He has come as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. He particularly mentioned the names of his father and mother. So Krishna is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by all the transcendentalists. There is no doubt about it. Our source of knowledge in Krishna consciousness is the Bhagavad Gita, which comes directly from Krishna. We have published Bhagavad Gita as it is because we accept Krishna as he is speaking without any interpretation. That is Vedic knowledge. Since the Vedic knowledge is pure, we accept it. Whatever Krishna's... Shall I continue?
Yeah.
Whatever Krishna says... Sorry, I lost my spot. 1 second.
Yeah. I marked it.
Yeah. Whatever Krishna says, we accept. This is Krishna consciousness. That saves much time. If you accept the right authority or source of knowledge, then you save much time. For example, there are two systems of knowledge in the material world, inductive and deductive. From deductive, you accept that man is mortal. Your father says he's mortal, your sister says man is mortal, everyone says man is mortal, but you do not experiment. You accept it as a fact that man is mortal. If you want to research to find out whether man is mortal, you have to study each and every man, and you may come to think that there may be some man who is not dying, but you have not seen him yet. So in this way, your research will never be finished. In Sanskrit, this process is called aroha, the ascending process. If you want to attain knowledge by any personal endeavor, by exercising your imperfect senses, you will never come to the right conclusions. This is not possible.
Thank you for this helping us understand about the Vedic knowledge that it is, the pure knowledge. It is authoritative. And the Vedas are speaking of the spiritual world. This material world is sometimes manifested, sometimes non-manifested. Means sometimes the creation is there, sometimes there is no creation. The material energy of Krishna is eternal, but sometimes we can see the universes and all the beings in their material bodies, and sometimes everything is sleeping, non-manifest. Everything is just, everything is quiet. There's no activity, there's no creation happening. The elements are there only in there. The elements are also not yet created. Everything is dormant. The material energy, she's lying dormant. But the spiritual sky is not like that. Spiritual sky never goes dormant like that. It's eternal. It's not that sometimes there is manifestation, sometimes there's no manifestation. And in the spiritual world, there is no death. It's not that somebody is being born and then somebody is dying. No. Everyone exists eternally in the spiritual world. But how can we get knowledge of such things? We cannot make experiment, Prabhupada is saying, because we ourselves, our minds are material, our senses are material. We heard that because we have the defects, so whatever experiment or whatever conclusion we come to is going to be defective. So we hear, we receive the Vedic knowledge. And Krishna is the highest authority. That's the reason Bhagavad Gita is even being studied even today by all classes of men. It's not that only Indians study Bhagavad Gita. So many scientists study Bhagavad Gita because Krishna is accepted as an authority. And specifically, Krishna is accepted as authority by the transcendentalists. Bhagavatam also says there are two types of transcendentalists. One are the impersonalists, and the other is the personalists. The impersonalists who accept that God is light, that God has no form, and that after liberation we are also all going to become God. So this is a theory which is propounded by Shankaracharya, but even Shankaracharya accepts that Krishna is God. So that's why Prabhupada is saying he's a coward personalist. He's just, because Shankaracharya is actually a incarnation of Lord Shiva, and it was his service to misguide the atheists. It was his service to misguide the people who wanted to be misguided. So anyway, one kind of impersonal, one kind of transcendentalist means who's really doing the study of the spiritual life. So one is the Shankara Sampradaya, and the others are the Vaishnava. Vaishnava Sampradayas are the Acharyas are Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, Nimbarkacharya, because there's 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas, 4 bona fide Vaishnava Sampradayas. One begins with Lord Brahma, where Krishna gives knowledge to Brahma. That's called the Brahma Madhva Sampradaya. Because Krishna gave knowledge to Brahma, it came to Madhvacharya, Madhvacharya is Acharya, like that. Then there is another Sampradaya which Krishna gave knowledge to Lakshmi Devi, that's called the Sri Sampradaya. And Ramanujacharya is the famous Acharya of that line. Sri Vaishnavas are very famous, especially in South India, there are many. Then there is a Sampradaya beginning from Rudra, Lord Shiva, where Krishna gave the knowledge to Lord Shiva. And the Acharya in that line is Vishnu Swami. And then the 4th is the Kumar Sampradaya, the 4 Kumaras. Krishna, they got knowledge. And then that Acharya is Nimbarkacharya. So we should receive knowledge in either of these 4 sampradayas. As we are saying, authority. Like we want to study something. We want to study something. We make sure that the university is authorized by the board, or we want our children to study something. We make sure, oh, this is a proper school, a proper university. They have the authority from the Board of Education. You're going to get a proper certificate. Similarly, for spiritual life, we should learn from in one of the 4 sampradayas to get the proper knowledge, the real knowledge. So anyway, speaking of Shankaracharya, even he, although he is propounding impersonalism, but even he is saying Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Narayan is not material. He existed before the creation. And he's confirming that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, is Krishna. He's the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. So he's giving us the information of God. But his followers don't accept this teaching of his. But anyway, Krishna is accepted as God from all kinds of transcendentalists. There's no doubt. And Prabhupada is saying that our source of knowledge is Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna himself. Krishna is God, and his words are eternal. Krishna is the greatest authority. There is no greater authority than Krishna. And so Prabhupada is saying he's translated the Bhagavad Gita as Krishna has spoken, as Arjuna has heard and understood without any interpretation. Because if we put our interpretation in Vedic knowledge, then we are misleading ourselves and misleading others. So we simply hear and we repeat. We hear the perfect knowledge and we speak the perfect knowledge. And in this way, there is no distortion of the original knowledge. The knowledge remains intact. So this is Krishna consciousness. So we are hearing from the Vedas, as Prabhupada is saying, we hear from the right authority, we save time and energy. So ascending and descending process, one is to get knowledge, there is an ascending process, descending process. Descending process, we ask the authority, we accept it, and we follow. So Prabhupada is giving an example. Man is mortal. Our father says man is mortal. Sister says man is mortal. So we accept it. Or authorities are telling me man is mortal, so I accept. Now we may say, no, why should I accept? I'm going to do my experiment myself. So that is the ascending. Accepting authority, that is descending. Now we may say, I want to experiment. That is ascending. But then what happens in the ascending process? There is we may use much time and energy and not come to the truth. Because always the doubt will remain. Or maybe I didn't come across a man who really is never going to die, because we possibly cannot do research. We are very limited. So by the ascending process, we will not be able to come to the right conclusion. So it's in our best interest to hear from the authority, to hear from the scriptures in the disciplic succession. Why disciplic succession? So we make sure we are hearing the real knowledge, the pure knowledge. Is that okay? Any questions, comments, something to add?
I don't know if this is in context, but I was just with some friends the other day, and they were from a Christian background, and they were saying that we would be very much interested to read our scriptures if we had the original Latin or Roman translations. And I was just feeling so grateful to Prabhupada that our Bhagavad Gita is word to word translated, and then it has a proper sentence translation. And I was just feeling very grateful, so I just thought I'd just share that here.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. It's true, no? It's
Yeah.
true, yes. Thank you. Because honestly, I have read other Bhagavad Gitas by other authors, but I couldn't understand anything. Didn't make sense at all. But when I started reading Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, then everything falls in place. Everything. And we see there's no contradiction between all the different scriptures. The scriptures are complementing each other. They're speaking of the same point. So yeah, truly grateful to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did anyone have any other comment? And anyone else wanted to share anything, add anything? No, then maybe we can continue a bit.
There is a statement in the Brahm Samhita: just ride on the airplane which runs at the speed of mind. Our material airplanes can run 2000 miles per hour. But what is the speed of mind? You're sitting at home, you immediately think of India, say 10,000 miles away, and at once it is in your home. Your mind has gone there. The mind speed is so swift, therefore, it is stated If you travel at this speed for millions of years, you'll find that the spiritual sky is unlimited. It is not possible even to approach it. Therefore, the Vedic injunction is that one must approach. The word compulsory is used, a bona fide spiritual master, a guru. And what is the qualification of a spiritual master? He is one who has rightly heard the Vedic message from the right source. And he must practically be firmly established in Brahman. These are the two qualities he must have, otherwise, he is not bona fide.
So hearing from the authority. Again, our mind, if we are going to try to understand spiritual matters by our mind, we are not going to be able to do it. Why? Because our mind is, after all, material. We will not be able to understand the spiritual by our material minds. We need to hear about the spiritual from the proper sources, from the Vedas. And in the line of disciplic succession, hearing from the bona fide spiritual master. We just heard that there are 4 bona fide sampradayas. So we should hear the knowledge from either of these 4 sampradayas to make sure that we are receiving the right knowledge. Bona fide. So a bona fide spiritual master means he has heard correctly from the proper source. So because he has heard properly from the proper source, he is a correct authority to also impart this knowledge. If somebody he's an expert doctor, means he himself had studied under a proper doctor, he himself studied under a proper university. That's the reason he's a certified doctor. And then now he's certified to teach others. Isn't it? So we can see even in material knowledge, we are following the authority. Not that we would say, okay, let me open the computer and learn from anyone who seems to be speaking something that seems like medical. Will we be able to actually become expert in our field? No. We might be more confused than what we started off with. So spiritual knowledge should be heard from the right source, that is the bona fide spiritual master, who has heard the message also from a proper source, so that he has the proper knowledge. So bona fide, also like Prabhupada would give the example, the postal system what we used to have. Now we don't post letters so much, but still the postal system that we still have. There'll be the red and green box, and those boxes are assigned by the postal authorities. And if we post our letter in those boxes, it will reach the receiver. It will, because it is authorized, these boxes. But similarly, if I just take any box, which looks the same, and post and paint it red and green, and people come and put letters in there, the letters are going to just stay there. The postman will not come to take it. Because why? It's not authorized by the government. Similarly, we need to hear from the authorized sampradayas, which Krishna has authorized them, because the knowledge is perfect. And so he must have rightly heard it. And what does it mean? He must be practically firmly established in Brahman, means he himself is a liberated soul. He's not conditioned, he's not on the material platform. He himself is liberated. That's how he will be able to liberate us. If two people are bound on a chair by ropes, how are they going to free each other? They're not going to be able to free. But if one of them is free, he will be able to open the ropes of another one. Isn't it? So similarly, the bona fide spiritual master, he must have heard the knowledge from a proper source, and he himself must be liberated. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes, Mataji.
So let's stop here for today. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening in and joining in. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.